how much can your company be worth just by increasing the value of it 1% each day? Now, I'm going to show you a live exercise here that I hope will be really helpful for you to see that doing constant, never-ending improvement, that you can make an amazing company just by doing a little bit better every day. So let's say when you start your business, it's worth about $1,000, which that might be optimistic, it might be pessimistic, but let's say it's worth about $1,000 if someone was to come along and buy it. Let's say you've got your website up, you got your YouTube channel, you got some videos, you got the basics of a business setup. Your basic setup, if someone wanted to come along and buy it and run the business for themselves and use it to make money, let's just say about $1,000. After I'd worked on my business, I'd have been lucky to get people to pay $1,000. But after I'd spent at least $1,000, and for me, a few $1,000s, my business was worth about $1,000 if you just wanted to buy it and use it for yourself. So let's just start with $1,000 and let's see how much a consistent emphasis on little improvements is every day. So I have just opened a blank spreadsheet up here. So we're going to do this in real time together here. I think this should be fun. So I'm going to put a formula in and try and impress you with my knowledge of Microsoft Excel, which could potentially be a mistake, but it might also work really good. So what I want to do is multiply. So I want the product in here. So we're going to insert function. We're going to put product A2, and then we want to multiply by 1.1. So that means we're multiplying by 10%. So as you can see here, this is this cell times 10%. So technically 101.1. It ups the amount by 10%. So let's say, well, let's start this on day one, let's say, and we'll do the same thing here. We're going to put a function in on this cell, and we're simply going to do sum on this one. We're going to add that cell, and we're going to add 1 to it, so that's 2. So let's say today is day 1. Your company's worth 1,000, and the nice thing, you can switch the value up if you want. If you want to make it worth 100, you can do this. If you want to make it worth more, you can put in more zeros. I would say my company's worth at least 100,000 today, but we're just going to start this with 1,000 right here. So let's start with 1,000 and see what happens with a little bit of improvement every single day on it. And all we're going to do is literally copy and paste this down here. Now look, if you make a 1% improvement on your company, that doesn't sound like much. Actually, I messed it up. I put 10% in here. You're like, thank God. There, 10%. Let's just do a 10% or a 1% improvement. So I did 10%. Let's do 1%. I appreciate you doing this with me in essentially real time. So what we're doing, we're starting on day 1. We're making a 1% improvement. I have a question. Can you make your business 1% better today? I'm doing this video as a part of making my business 1% better today. I'm improving one of my 70 courses today significantly. I'm hoping to make a 1% improvement on my business. So let's say you multiply by 1.01, that's 1%. But realistically, you could make your business 10% better when you start it in one day. But let's just say 1%, that's conservative. To start with, it's aggressive to go forward. So you've got 1% improvement. So on the second day, your business is worth $10 more. On the third day, it's worth $20 more than it was 2 days ago. Now, you might think, Jerry, well, that's not going to add up very fast, is it? Well, fortunately, we can do an exercise pretty easy. We will go over here and shift and go down and just paste. So thankfully, Excel makes things like this really easy. And now I'm so fancy here. Look, I'm going to go try and do the number layout here so that it only has no significant digits. So we want this whole column to not have all these extra numbers. So there, we're just going to round on the numbers. This will make it simple. So look, in just 22 days after your initial day, so in 3 weeks, your business value has increased 20%. In just 3 weeks, just with little 1% improvements every day. So let's scroll down. Let's see how much like half a year makes a difference. So you go forward, you keep making these little improvements, and soon, look at this, your business, when you've got through half a year, now is worth $12,000. You've got through a little over half a year. Let's do a full year. Let's just do a full year. We're going to go down to 366 days here because I started with one up at the top. Now, after a year, your business that initially started, which was pretty worthless in where I'm at least, where you're at $1,000, maybe a great business. Let's look at this. Now, a year into your business is now worth $37,000 instead of 1,000. That is 37 times what you started at in just a year. And all you're doing is making little 1% improvements every single day. And that's what I've done in my business. I started off with a business worth about $1,000, and I just try and make little improvements to it every day. Now, you might think, well, how am I ever going to get a big company this way? Just keep doing that. Let's scroll down into the 700s. Let's see if or 800. Let's see after about 2 years or so. This is just close to 2 years. Let's paste. Let's see what it's worth after a couple years, and look at how big the numbers are getting. Look at how big these numbers are. Now look at this number right here. Your business then after 2 years, if you're able to make little 1% improvements, is up to $4 million in just 2 years. Now you might think that's crazy, and 1% improvement every day. Yes, you just sit down and try and make something a little bit better every single day. And in 2 years, you can have a business just with 1% improvements that's worth $4 million. Now, you could even go back and do this different ways. For example, if you change the original number, the whole equation changes. So if you start with $100, you might think, okay, I don't have a $1,000 business. Let's say I start with a $100 business. Guess what? In 2 years, even starting with a $100 business, let's look and see. Your business is worth $400,000 in 2 years, starting with a $100 business. The point is, little improvements help out fantastically. Now, you might want to argue with me in this. Well, just skip all this stuff. Look, just Control Z, go back and undo that, because you're not going to be able to get a 1% improvement every day after you've been able to go for a year. So let's just look at a year. Let's say, okay, sure, after you've built the business for a year, it might be difficult to improve it by 1% every day. For example, I have a business that's it's got a lot of working parts to it. I have 70 online classes on Skillshare. I've got websites on I've got courses on other websites. I have 1,000+ YouTube videos up. I have books out. I have Facebook page, Twitter, etc., etc. So can I really make a 1% improvement every single day to the existing business I have? You might argue that the more valuable your business gets, the harder it gets to make improvements like 1%. So what if, let's say we change the formula at this point. What if for down here, we change the formula after a year that let's say we can't make it 1% better every day. But let's say that even with a bigger business, the best we can do is make it 1/3% better every day. So that means now instead of a 1% improvement every day, it's a 1% improvement every 3 days. Let's see what happens to the business. We'll go forward into the 2-year mark or so, around the high 700s, low 800s. Let's see how it looks. And I unselected that, so we're going to have to go back up here and scroll. And I do these live examples to just show you how this stuff works in real time, so that way I don't have to take any time before. I do everything as fast as possible, so this way I didn't have to prepare anything beforehand, and this is how I max out doing so many things. So let's look, even with a less big improvement than initial, that constant never-ending improvement, even with only 1/3% improvement every single day, the business is now worth $133,000 after 2 years from having been started at $1,000. So you see that business is worth 133 times what it was worth after 2 years. So this is how I look at and work in my business. Now, as many things as I have online, it might be reasonable to say, Jerry, with everything you've got online, the best you can realistically hope to improve is 0.1% every day. Now, no matter how much you update your website, new videos, new classes, realistically, you can only hope to do 0.1% every day. And that takes into account some days you might make a big improvement, like a 1% improvement, and other days you might make a 1% mistake. You might screw up. And like for me, my business took a like 90% cut when I got banned from Udemy. So some bad things may happen in life. But the point is, you control the effort and the improvement you make every day. So I've had a business now 5 years, and let's say, what if I go forward then? Like 5 years, and I go in down here, I need like 3 more years, so that's like 1,000 more days. So let's go down here. This will be about 5 years in business. So after starting a business worth maybe $1,000 with the constant never-ending improvements, guess what? How much is my business worth, do you think, after 5 years? After 5 years, even with the next 2 years only doing 0.1% improvement every day, I've got a business worth $300,000+. Now, the power of this is for being able to do your work consistently and go forward like this. So if I go forward, let's say I want to go forward like 10 years. So that's 3,000 something days. That means I need to go forward into the thousands. Now, I'm working on making a business that I love doing and I can continue to do indefinitely. So I'm making a business that I want to continue to improve a little bit every day. So let's see what opportunity I have, even with just improving 0.1% every day on average. You'll see I'm scrolling through 400,000, 500,000, and see the bigger the numbers get, the faster it goes up. 1 million. 2 million. And the secret is, this is how you build an amazing company. You make it a little bit better every single day. You don't have to hit the lottery. You don't have to get venture funding. You don't have to do all these amazing things. You just do your work. You do your best every single day. And guess what? From having a company that might be worth a few $100,000 now, I have a company that I can very reasonably expect in 10 years to be worth at least $10 million at a minimum. And how much money am I going to have made in the process of making a company that's worth $10 million? So you see, even with 0.1% of improvement every day, that's a very small little improvement. For me, putting this video in this course, I hope that alone is 0.1% improvement today, and then I do that every day. So then after having my business for 5,146 days, starting from $1,000, I very reasonably, making little improvements every day, can expect to have a business worth $10 million in 10 years from now. And now, wouldn't you like to have a business worth $10 million and start it from 1,000? I think that's great. So the math is very simple, and the math does not lie. Little improvements every single day add up to a massive result. And even if you get a huge cut in the middle of what you're doing, with me getting banned from teaching on the top website I was teaching on, I lost 95% of my income with one email. And even with that, my never-ending improvement is absolutely relentless at continuing the growth. Even with a massive cut like that, my business did not die and go under. I continue to just work with what I have left. And the bigger it gets, the more I'm able to continue to sustain more cuts and diversify so that no one asset gets cut and wipes the whole business out. So I'm very grateful to have this to share with you after having started my business, after having been through the beginning of this process, from having a fairly worthless company to 5 years later, having a company that has a good value to it today, and having the outlook that in 10 years I will have a company worth at least $10 million. And all I have to do is keep doing what I'm already doing every day. Keep improving a little bit. So I hope this is extremely helpful for you today. I love you and want you to have an amazing business. I want you to have the ability, if you'd like to have the life I do, where I just get to do these kinds of things like this video every day, hang out with my family, go to my meetings, have fun, love my life. That's why I make this. So I hope this is helpful in showing you clearly through math that you don't have to ever do anything amazing. All you have to do is make little improvements every single day.